What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Ash Echoes video. This game is supposed to be dropping globally very soon, guys. We're talking about the next 21 hours for some people even earlier than that, depending where you are in the world. Some of you guys are finally going to get your hands on this game. And the first thing many of you guys have been asking, hey Payne, can you provide us with a tier list? Well, I can. As a matter of fact, Prydwen, shout out to Prydwen as usual. I have a great reputation with these guys. Have put together some of my videos as well as a fantastic tier list, not only from our version, but the CN version to help us understand who to go for in the beginning and who you want to focus on. And I mentioned this earlier in my last video. If you've seen the introductory video to this game, it's unfortunately lost in like 5 videos today, but it's there. It talks a lot about how different characters will do different things, as well as the levels have requirements that some characters can achieve on their own. So you are required to use a various amount of different combat systems, as well as combat units that can do, for example, anti-air versus no anti-air versus physical versus elemental, etc. Right? So we're going to talk all about that and go through the format here and give you guys the best possible tier list, in my opinion, that's out there right now. Shout out to Prydwen for doing that. So, a couple categories to note. They're going to be broken up by damage dealers, characters whose function is mainly to deal damage. That's all they're there for. Specialist echomancers of the type can serve many different roles on a team. Their main utility can come from barrier penetration, control, interception, creating elemental zones, and other battlefield altering techniques. They can also trigger elemental reactions to help players achieve victory. Debuffers and buffers, pretty straightforward. People that can increase speed, DPS, reduce the resistance of enemies for elementals, increase their damage taken, etc. Right? Pretty straightforward. And lastly, survival, which are your healers and tanks. The main role is to make sure the team survives. So some of them can have different utilities or damage, or some of them can cause barriers, heal you, put healing over time, etc. Right? Very straightforward stuff. Now, just so you guys are aware, this is how it works. Echomancers are evaluated as such: 6-star at 0 dupes, 5-star at 3 dupes, 4 and below at max dupes. Okay, because that's important to note that a 6-star with 0 dupes is really hard to get. Number one, well, not hard to get, but they're hard to dupe because you need dupes of them. And then 5 stars at 3 dupes is much easier to do. As you summon, you'll get many of these 5 stars. And then lastly, 4 stars and below to max dupes, because you'll get 4 stars non-stop. All right, very important to remember that. Take into consideration raw power, versatility, team builds, and utility, how unique or essential their kits are, the cost, and top picks S tier, the absolute best in the category, while also offering extra benefits. A tier on par with the characters from S tier, but lack a little bit of the benefits to make their S tier unique. And then good picks, B tier on par with characters from A tier, but have some sort of a drawback. C tier, not bad, but definitely need investment and a lot of investment sometimes to shine and reach the same level of a B tier. And lastly, D tier, very niche units for certain circumstances. Okay, that's how this is going to be organized. Now, you guys can see the changelog as well, whenever that is. The initial release of this was done on the 28th of October, so it's fairly new and up to date. So let's talk about this. This is the global version of the tier list. Okay, there's a CN version with more characters. We're going to talk about the global. Let's start off with the damage dealer. So the 2 damage dealers, and the one that I use most, quite honestly, have been these 2, Ivana, and I use Cyrus. Okay, now, globally, he's an S. In CN, he drops 1. The reason why he drops 1 is, and I totally agree with them here, is he doesn't have any anti-air. So when you have any opponent that comes in with flying bad guys, he just stands there. Literally just stands there, does nothing, and waits for a melee unit to pop up so he can attack them. That's the biggest issue. Now, Sen Ying, on the other hand, has everything you need in a unit. Globally, she's probably one of the best units in the game. Has anti-air, has incredible DPS abilities. The problem with her is, as it's mentioned here, is her burst DPS kind of relies on her seed skill, and longer fights can actually take away some of that output. So I agree with these 2 right now. I would say S tier. My other one I would add to this is actually Ivana. I personally loved Ivana. Because she's at Ice Enchantress, she has the ability to freeze. She kills enemy with a massive AoE. Her biggest issue, of course, is, like they're mentioning, she does rely on environmental stages, or environmental places for her to use her ice. So that's kind of her drawback. But I personally have enjoyed using her almost more than any other DPS character, and that's just from a play perspective, not just DPS perspective. So I do think she's more of an S in my opinion, but you guys can see here A and B. Hassel as well too. After triggering a combo, he continued through his active skill, reloading Ghost Gun to deal huge amounts of damage in a short period of time. His damage split between physical and lightning, allow him to take on bosses with different resistances. Later on in the CN version, he falls to B due to lack of additional supporting mechanisms. So just a pure out DPS. All right, and then lastly, Lydia. Lydia is a 5-star actually, and actually does deserve to be here. Lydia boasts some of the most powerful DPS capabilities amongst the 5-star Echomancers. When she's up against elite or boss units, she can compete neck to neck with some of the 6-stars. Lydia falls off to B tier as she needs time to warm up. However, for early game and F2P, she is a fantastic character to build, and I agree with this. Lydia is amazing. So having these units here are going to help you guys shine quite a bit. The B units here, I'm not going to go over very much because, quite honestly, you can get them easily, and I honestly found almost no use for a lot of these DPSs. This is the DPS squad that I ended up using, was Cyrus, Ivana, Lydia. Those were my main units. All right, now let's go with specialists. Now, Laurel will be the first actual unit you can summon on as a banner. At least that's what it was in the beta test, okay? I've summoned her completely, maxed her out with the 6-star plus dupes. So she's a corrosion unit. Laurel can adapt to any situation on the fly by switching between defense and offense stances to provide a lot of benefits. She's considered one of the most cost-effective Echomancers, still one of the most versatile ones in CN. So you can go defense mode and protect your squad and still cause corrosion, or go attack mode and go full offensive corrosion. And when you stack enough corrosion, you do massive burst damage. So amazing unit. Does take time to build that attack, but when you do, she is unstoppable. So amazing unit there. Luke, I actually never tried, so this is interesting to see. An extraordinarily versatile Echomancer, Luke can form a double core with Sen Ying in physical teams. Luke's taunt, interception, barrier, and other mechanics allow him to slot easily into any team, so he's completely versatile. His ability to adapt to any battle environment makes him stable in extreme difficult fights. Currently, he's still very useful in the CN version, but his damage is inferior to other characters, and that's normal. Specialist characters, really, they don't specialize in damage. They specialize in doing jack of all trades, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing here as well with Luke. So that's good to know. I actually never had a chance to use them. Furry and Fernie, I actually do have used these guys. They're sub-DPS Echomancers who specialize in breaking barriers and creating large water zones, making them stable on the electrocution teams, which is great because electrocution with water has a combustion effect. It's great. The environment is affected by that. In the CN version, they were replaced by Uni as they can trigger vulnerability on their own and lack high damage output. So for our version, not bad. For CN, later on, they get replaced. But that's normal. That's a very power creep situation, right? Sambeka, I actually use this unit quite a bit. The most comprehensive 5-star. Sambeka can create water zones, trigger lightning reactions, use wind to blow away poison mist, and change the weather on the stage. She falls off in CN version due to lack of damage output, which is most cases in these ones, but it's still consistently used for a versatile utility and counter certain stage mechanics. So there's a lot of mechanics in these stages. We're going to say like, hey, there's like fire zone, there's a water zone, there's a etc. This unit here can pretty much take away a lot of those negative effects and put them back on your side and help you with the environment. So very, very cool unit. Tong possesses ultra long range attacks, and large scale attacks are very helpful for clearing clutter, intercepting especially the flying objects. Remember I was telling you about those? You're gonna see a lot of those, by the way. He can also restore a number of active skills. In addition, being a versatile addition early on, later on he suffers with lack of team synergy to fit in, and I agree with that. I actually took him off my team because I just had no place for him, and totally agree with that completely there. All right, now let's talk about some buffers and debuffers. So Frida is a 5-star. I use Frida and Felicia all the time. They were like a core part of my team. So the most practical support suitable for any team and playstyle. The reason she's classified as a buffer is because she can boost capabilities, and Frida can also switch modes to adapt, passively heal allies, reduce damage taken, reduce cooldown of all allies, including seed skills when she reaches 3 dupes, and that's the importance there, and increase crit rate and crit damage for the whole team. She still remains the secret 7-star at CN. Yeah, so she's insanely powerful. Like, we're talking about super, super good. Now, right below her, and I agree with this one, I still would have kept him A in CN personally, but I mean, I haven't played CN for quite some time. Main use of his is the attack speed buff that he does, and it's a lot. And he does a really nice AoE as well, which can provide significant boost and trigger some auto skills such as L'Oreal's Polyphony. And more often, he also has screen-wide interception. His tier lowers due to his lack of personal damage. And that's true. He doesn't do a lot of damage, but I do like his AoE damage that he brings to the table. And quite honestly, he does a really good job. And he casts his attack speed very, very often. So definitely go for Frida if you can. But Felicia is a very, very good option as well. All right, now, this is the survivalist. These are your healers and your tanks. All right, now, Longqing, I actually used a lot. She was my number 1 healer. Her water skills were incredible, her healing was incredible, and she does damage reduction like crazy and provides a really, really good barrier. So you can see here one of the most valuable initial 6-stars. Longqing has the best healing potential and provides sustainable damage reduction through her barriers and seed skills. She can easily also track or stack Inspire when using the memory trace Nightmare, which you'll get through doing Nexus and other things and summoning. And then Mo is the tank that you actually meet very early on. Is the tankiest Echomancer in the game. She can't withstand damage, then you need to improve your stats and memory traces. Of course, her role is more than just tanking. She also has the ability to do displacement, which can effectively divide the battlefield and protect her allies. She also has her third and first do provide great utility to the fire team. However, there's no survival pressure. Mo can be left as a backup panic button. So just so you guys are aware. Now, Sotavina, I actually never use. So this is interesting. Healing capabilities are second only to Longqing. To compensate, she can increase the elemental resistance of her allies, which is great actually, and is more suitable for long-term endurance combat. Her main shortcoming is due to the nature of her skills. The player has to pay constant attention to her positioning, which sucks because if you're in a grid and your allies are away and you're not reaching them, it's going to suck for you, right? So those are going to be the most popular units that you want to aim for, guys. Okay, some of these ones that you get for free, for example, I believe Yuki is for free. Reed is fairly easy to get. I'm trying to see, Mars I think is fairly easy to get, a 4-star, right? So I mean, some of these units here are easy to acquire, and you'll get them fairly early on. So definitely take a look at the tier list. Shout out to Prydwen for putting this together. I'm glad they did, because I haven't had a chance to actually do this, and I wanted to. So there you guys have it. Tier list completed for global. Make sure you take a look at this. This again will be in the description of the video. Click the link. Big shout out to Prydwen again for putting this together. Amazing job, guys. Completely agree with some of these. Some of them I would disagree a little bit just from my own personal experience and gameplay, but that's just me. And I mean, all tier lists are subjective to people's own personal opinions and gameplay styles. So again, guys, Ash Echoes comes out tomorrow. Go check it out. Download it. Check out the description. There's a link there for you to pre-register and download the game on the PC client as well as mobile. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the game hopefully very soon. Bye now.